Welcome to the High Performance Man podcast. I am your host, John Fayocavitz. And on this show, I interview successful men who have built impressive careers and businesses. We got founders, CEOs, senior leaders, and professionals who have operated at a high level for years. We talk about what actually made them successful. The goal is simple: to learn directly from the men who have done it so we can apply those insights into our own careers, businesses, and lives, and continue raising our own standard of performance. The show is sponsored by Prime Performance Method. The Prime Performance Method is designed specifically for high-performing men who have achieved success in their careers but feel like their body and energy may have taken a hit along the way. I help busy professional men regain strength, lose weight, and feel younger within 8 weeks without long workouts, extreme dieting, or disrupting their demanding schedule. If you are a high-performance man who wants to feel as strong and energized as you are successful, message me at John Fayocavitz on LinkedIn. On today's show, we have Richard Weylman. Okay, he is the chairman of Weylman Consulting. Okay, thank you very much, Richard, for being on our show.
Great to be
Next
with you.
thing I'd like to ask a question that I like to ask all my guests. What is the biggest lesson you have learned so far that has helped you become successful in your business?
That's a big question. The biggest lesson, I would say that, and obviously we're talking strategically here, I would say the biggest thing is to have a very clear vision of where you want to focus. The thing that strikes me, we do a lot of consulting all over the world, and I speak at conferences, well over 100 a year, et cetera. And oftentimes in conversations with people, I'll ask them, what is your focus? And they may have some sense, well, I want to make more money, I want this, I want that. That's not really the question. The question is, what's going to be the focus of your business, or the focus of your passion, or the focus of your talent? What is it that you want to be accomplished and be known for? And given the talent or gift that you have or the passion you have. So I think that's really been the biggest lesson for me, is always to be true, if you will, or be mindful. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Be mindful of the people I want to serve and the focus that I want to bring to the marketplace. My gift is seeing things from the consumer's point of view. Companies, I have a company right now that spent $6 million on a program, can't understand why it's not working. And I had the privilege, they call the CEO call me, I flew up and met with them, and I was there about 20 minutes, and I just asked a series of questions, and they couldn't answer them. And I said, well, that's the problem. You see, that's the consumer's question that you're not answering. And you're not focused on the consumer, you're focused on the product. You need to be focused on the end game.
Right.
And, so then I gave them an illustration of another company in a similar slot.
Right.
And in 18 months, we grew the business $4.5 billion by shifting the branding, shifting the messaging, and really increasing our ability to focus. So I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned, is just stay focused on that which it is that you're bringing to the marketplace, what you want to be known for, what you're good at. And I think a lot of people sometimes spend a lot of time and effort. They go through SWOT analysis, and they improve on their weaknesses. Well, why don't we just focus on our strengths? We can hire people to handle the other side of it.
Okay.
I hope that's helpful for you. Thank you, John.
So your business then, Richard, is it business to business, like your business, or do you do individuals, or is it just the business?
Oh, well, we do a lot. I have several divisions. We have the research division. We do a lot of research for companies on what's going on with the consumer and what are people looking for today and all of those things. And then the consulting division, of course, is really helping people to implement strategies and tactics going forward. A lot of it is around companies, of course, B2B, if you will.
Right.
But in our coaching division, which I'm very fortunate that has really grown exponentially over the last many years, we do a lot of coaching of individual salespeople, professionals, leaders on various areas they want to improve upon, in terms of, we're good at this and I want to improve and overcome that. So we do a lot of coaching in that area. So we do a lot of B2B, but
Right.
when I speak, the B has me, the company has me to come in to speak to their individuals, their sales force or marketing teams, service teams, leadership teams, to help those individuals improve their skill sets in various areas.
Wow. I tell you, how many years have you been doing this?
Uh, well, let me have to go back and do the math in my brain. We're 43 years doing this now.
You've had this
I guess,
consulting business for 43 years?
yeah, I was general sales manager for Rolls-Royce, the youngest in history, and
Wow.
uh, and then I helped build a magazine called The Rob Report. I had a liquidity event in my 20s, and I was done. I was going to retire, and then people called me and wanted me to speak on how I had done various things,
Right.
and then that really began the genesis of this business. And I didn't know I just prayed about it. I said, Lord, what do you want me to do? And it was like, I want you to speak about what you've done. And first call I had, this guy called me. He said he wanted me to speak at a meeting, like it's called a lamp meeting. I said, I don't know anything about selling lamps at all. He said, no, no, no. It's life agency manager program. There'll be about 2,000 people, 3,000 people. I said, well, what do you want me to speak about? He said, just come and talk about how you took that little tiny business and built it in 5 years to a record liquidity event. So I said, well, all right. So I flew out and I spoke and for 45 minutes, and I had 22 chief marketing officers or CEOs afterwards stand in line and say, we need to hire you. You need to help us understand how to bring this to our business. So that,
Wow.
I thought, well, I'll do this for 6 months. I was ready. I was really, in my mind, I was, getting a new boat and headed into the Caribbean. And anyway, so that was all those many years. I got the boat, but I never got, in any
So
case.
that was your first speaking engagement with over that 22 people, CEOs or engagement and 2,000
Yeah,
people.
I got over 300 requests to speak over through that year.
And
So I
you,
went to public to television station. A friend of mine was a manager of it, and I'd said, what I'm going to do is shoot videos. That's what I'm going to do. I said that way they call and have me speak. I can just hire a company. They can send the videos. I can go to the Caribbean. It works. I don't have to.
right,
So I did videos, and but I got going, and I said, well, we need to do this one and this. So I ended up with a set of 7 videos, and the next show was coming up in a couple of months. So I thought, well, I'll just go because I was speaking a lot, and I said, well, I'll just go, and we'll sell these sets of videos, and we're good. So I took 100 sets, and we sold 2,100 sets at that show. People
okay,
stood in line for hours. So I was
wow,
like, wow. So I had to hire 2 guys. I started printing workbooks. We had to open a warehouse. I had to hire 2 guys. All they did is pack boxes and workbooks and ship them out. UPS came, the truck came twice a day, and it just exploded on me. So and that was way back when I was doing beta tapes. Then I went to VHS. Then I went to DVD, and then I went online early. I launched an online learning platform in 2010,
wow.
and
That's
it was unusual. In fact, the technology wasn't there. I had to have 2 different companies, one that could host the workbook and one could host the videos. And then I had to hire a firm to write the software because one firm that hosted the videos was in New York, but the workbooks was in Amarillo, Texas. So we had to figure out how to, and so it was a seamless experience. But when I launched, it just exploded because I could see that these companies had a lot of satellite offices. That's when people were expanding in various industries, and I could
wow.
see it. I could see it. Yeah, they're going to want consistent training, but they're not going to want to buy 30 sets of videos because even
Right,
if they do, they're not all learning at the same pace or have access. So I'm going to put
right.
this all online. And of course, that people thought I was nuts, but
So you were ahead of the curve a little bit, huh?
a little, yeah. So in any
That's,
case, that's long answer to your question. I hope it
oh,
makes.
that's great. My audience would love to hear with Jeepers. So my next question, you've obviously built a very successful business. Okay. And I often hear from other successful businesses, okay, with my podcast lately, that although their businesses have thrived, okay, and they're very successful, other areas of their lives have suffered. Have you experienced that at all?
Uh, Interesting question. Uh, I would say, I'm a man of faith, so I spend time every day,
That's what I am.
nearly every day. I can tell the days I don't. Uh, that I spent, I do devotions and we as a family are very uh, we're a family of faith. So I travel a lot. That doesn't make it easy sometimes, but not so not so much. But I try to do at least 3 miles every day. Sometimes, and it's hard sometimes when you're on the road or you're in a climate where you don't really want to go out and endure the weather, if you will, because
Right.
we're headquartered in Florida and other, and I have another office in Honolulu. That's where I work in Asia. So no, it's I think, yeah, sure. You always come to places where you feel a disconnect. I don't think that's unusual. I've sometimes felt that way. I was in a horrible car crash a couple of years ago. Uh,
Oh,
no reason for me to have survived it. Even even the ER doctor came up the next day when I was in ICU and said, "It took 9 of us to get you up here." And he said, "Honest to God, I didn't think you were going to make it overnight."
well,
So, those are all times you have
somebody
reflection.
was watching over you, weren't they?
Yeah. So you sort of have that time of reflection. So, I mean, I think we all have ebbs and flows. There are
Right.
days, no matter how busy you are, you either don't think you're doing enough, making enough, being enough, or having enough time for yourself. So there's always that, I call it the push and the pull of it all. So,
Right. Okay. Wow. Okay. Next, what is your secret to maintaining a healthy balance in all areas of your life? Like, how many hours a week do you put in working wise? I mean, do you have that balance that you know that you could do? You said your
I'm
devotion,
terrible at it. I'm terrible at it. Work-life balance, I often ask, what is that? People say, what's your hobby? Uh, do what now? For years we were big in boating and we got bigger, more and more, got bigger and bigger in boating, but we've gotten away from boating now. And we have the home in Honolulu, so we spend a lot of time going back and forth. So that sort of replaced that, if you will. But I think it's just simply having devotions. I'm pretty diligent about getting out and doing the miles every day. That helps a lot, I think, in terms of that. As far as work-life balance, I mean, today, let's say on a typical Friday, I'll be doing stuff, but I can tell you, uh, we've got a massive project for a company that we're launching next Tuesday. And so I'll be on Zoom calls with my team, finalizing everything on Saturday. So that will be it. And then, so what are we doing Sunday? Well, Sunday, I've already got a whole host of things that I have to do, including respond to a group of executives that want to have uh, a brainstorm session on Sunday afternoon. So, and
that's
so
a lot
then
of
I
work
leave
in
on
there, Richard.
Monday, and then I leave on Monday, and I'm on the road for 17 days. So, speaking, but so I guess I don't take a lot of breaks in that regard. I just enjoy what I do so much. It's so gratifying that I don't really feel um, I don't know.
Overwhelmed.
And then I don't feel overwhelmed ever, no. And I've
Right.
got a great team of people. I mean, nobody, I've had people retire and then 2 weeks later they'll call and beg, please, I want to come back to work. But I'm
How,
very, very,
how
very,
about young, or do you have any, did you have kids? I mean, how about younger in your business? Did you have any like relation with your kids and your wife? And I mean, that,
no, I've had no children. I have no children.
okay.
We do support a children's home in Tennessee, and
Okay, great.
I've got 127 of them there. That's enough, but
Yeah, it is.
to say the least. Um, but my wife, she runs a company we started, a hard money lending company in Hawaii, and so we have pets and that kind of thing, but we just
Okay.
never. it's just we do. It's a lot of people talk about work-life balance, and they love to play golf and all these other things. And I was an orphan. I never was exposed to any of that stuff. My parents
Okay.
died my mother died when I was 5. My dad died when I was 6. And I lived in 19 foster homes. I went to 11 different schools. So it was always about survival for me. I mean, it was never sports. I played a little football in one school, did really well, but I wasn't there long because they kept transferring me out of the foster homes. And
Okay.
so I never really got into the sports thing in terms of playing a sport or playing golf or even playing cards or things of that nature. I do like to go to Vegas a couple times a year. Some
Okay.
friends we go, and I say they're friends. I only see them like twice a year. It's our weekend in Vegas. We go to the Wynn, and they're very good to us there. But
Yep.
and that's just more
All right.
entertainment than it is anything else. So no,
Okay.
I've never had that. I've always had to work, and even when I was in the military, I had 2 jobs, plus being in the military. So I flipped burgers and sold cookware door to door.
Okay. All right. Here's what I'm curious about this here. When's the last time you had a vacation? Not a work vacation. I want.
Yeah, I know what you're asking me. I a few years ago, trying to remember what year. What is this, 6? So that was, I think it was 22. It was after well, I don't want to call it a pandemic, whatever. But it was right after that. I was speaking in Ireland. I spoke in England, Ireland, and Scotland. And then I took about a week and a half and went to Normandy, and we went to Paris and then down to Monaco. So that was kind of a vacation, if you will.
Okay.
Um, yeah. When I had the boat, the big boat, I it was a little more. We'd go to the Bahamas, and I'd leave the boat over there and take a seaplane back and forth. So we'd leave the boat in the Bahamas, and I'd go 4 or 5 days at a time and come back. But
Okay.
we won't do that anymore. Anyhow,
Okay. Great. All right. My last question I'm going to ask for today is what has been stretching you lately? Like what has been, I know you mentioned travel and all that is what's been stretching you? Are you stressful at all during the recording all these things? Is the travel going, are you staying in hotels all the time?
was it stressful? Was that the word?
Yeah. Is stretching stressful? What's stressing?
Um, well, I don't. As far as stretch, I guess I always try to stretch myself. But in terms of, in other words, I want to learn more, do more, et cetera. I'm a partner in a VC firm too, as well. So
Okay.
it's not stressful at all, but it does stretch me
Okay.
because we're we were really early in AI and and we've been very fortunate in that regard. We were ahead of the curve. But I think that as far as stress, I just want to. I guess I've always do I stress about it? I guess I would say if there's anything I really stress about, or maybe the word is think about or pray about, is I just want to be able to reach as many people as we possibly can in the business, and that's one of the reasons I started the online university. It's one of the reasons I got involved in. So I've written 3 books. All 3 are international bestsellers. I've written 100 and I don't know. I forgot. I've lost count. I think 124 learning textbooks. Um, so those, I just want to reach as many people. So I think about that and how can I reach more people? So I guess that's
Okay.
maybe I don't know if it's a stress, but it's certainly something it's on my mind a lot.
Okay.
Interesting you ask the
Great.
question.
Great. Well, we're going to come to the end here. Okay. And I want to thank you for joining us, Richard, today on the High Performance Man podcast. Your answers were great, and I appreciate them all. I'm sure my audience is going to take into it all of those answers, okay, and how successful you are, okay. And so, as a reminder, this show is brought to you by the Prime Performance Method, where I help high-performing men rebuild their strength, energy, and confidence without sacrificing their careers. If you're ready to feel as strong in your body as you are successful in your business, message me, John Fayocavitz, on LinkedIn. Until the next episode, perform strong in all areas of your life.